Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 444 at scavengerlife.com.
It just keeps rolling. A week ago, we were asking about Goodwill bins.
Yes.
The Goodwill outlet.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is it still successful for people? Because it was kind of a thing. I think they came about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And, people are complaining about Goodwills especially not having very good stuff out on the floor in the normal stores because there's this idea that they're like pulling out all the good stuff or pricing stuff too high.
Doing online auctions. So
I wondered if the same thing happened to Goodwill bins, and what people were telling us in the comments and forum was that there's some good stuff.
People are finding good stuff. There were a lot of comments of some people even said, I only go to the bins.
Right. And it's interesting. I had also wondered if it still is, I don't know if cutthroat is the right word, but we don't go there because a couple times I did go, I got too stressed out because it's like a competition.
It's territorial.
It's like this weird, and the Goodwill people, they're like hands off. They're like, I don't know. It's like, if that's his bin, then I guess that's his bin. So people didn't talk about that. So I guess that maybe people allow those guys to be the upfront people
and
getting
girls.
the stuff, and girls.
Yes.
And then in the middle part is where it's more casual, but it's been picked through.
Well, yeah. So it sounds okay.
Yeah. So some people were saying that they think because in the Goodwill stores they're pricing things higher, and maybe they're not moving stuff as quickly. Stuff gets sent to the Goodwill bins because, like we said, there's still
a deluge
of stuff, and they've got to keep things going.
They're getting so many donations.
Yeah.
They're like, we cannot sit on this stuff.
So that's interesting. I don't know. It's
yeah.
What?
Well, Jay's just kind of like,
I'm like, what does that mean to me?
I think
net to me. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think what it means to you is that now we were just talking about something similar. If that is something, to quote Marie Kondo, that does not spark joy, the thought of going to the bins for me, I'm like, I could do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
However, when it comes to certain auctions, I hate going.
Yeah.
I just do.
Yeah.
You love it.
I do.
And you're like, I should probably just go by myself. Yeah. And for me, if I'm like, I want to go to the Goodwill bin sometime for a test run again, I should just go by myself.
Wow, yeah. And you can go and have like gloves.
Have gloves.
Yep.
Does not bother me.
And like an IKEA bag, and you're
I guess
it's almost like it's the 1800s, and you're like in the field just like
I'm a gleaner.
Yeah, like picking the old potatoes out of the ground.
That's exactly what it is. Scavenging.
With the bandana on.
That actually sounds like the flea market. That's as similar to the flea market. You got to get ready to do it,
I guess it just means that, people were complaining about like it's harder to find stuff, and I guess my question is it really hard to find it, or is it just harder to find stuff in the ways people are accustomed to? And I think that has been the common theme of this podcast for 444 episodes. It's just like, if you sit still and count on one thing, one way, you're going to get run over, because we are in this capitalistic market where it's, things don't stay the same.
I mean, I think that's just...
And we've been coming upon that problem as well.
Yeah, sure. And I think that that's one of the things that is good and also bad about all of this, is that you're like, you have to adapt no matter what. And
so this brings me to kind of this topic I had, and now, but this isn't going to be the topic for the podcast.
It's just
it's going to be now. It's now a pre-topic. Okay. So it's like dealing with stress, like running this business and all the things we do, working for ourselves. It's very stressful.
Yes.
We talk about it from time to time, and I know that other people feel it as well, because I read it in its forums. And I will say, I could not do this alone.
Yeah.
I don't know how people that work by themselves where all of their money comes from from by themselves, and they're doing it. My hat's off to those people.
Yeah.
But, there is the ups and downs of owning your own business. And man, when it feels bad...
It feels bad.
It feels bad.
Like, I know there's ups and downs to everything. Having a job and doing your own business, like, versus, each other. But, man, when you're working for yourself and you have no guaranteed income...
I will say, when I
tough.
Worked for other people and had a job...
Yeah.
I would feel stress, but... I always knew, like, there was, like, a threshold. As long as I kept up a certain amount of work, showed up, was in good standing with my boss.
Right.
It might be stressful, and maybe I'm a little bit, there's all this work, but I always knew I wouldn't get fired.
Now, the stress or so the stress of jobs like that for me was... They could always lay you off. That's always there. But, it's not top of the...
I guess I didn't work enough jobs where I ever was laid off. But
right.
The stress I'm talking about doing our own business, and we're going through this right now, is just the stress of, like, is this going to work? Do the numbers work? Are things going to sell? We're working on this other project that really, it's like for the next... 6 months, it's kind of brutal, and it's scary, and
unknown.
And that there's no guarantee.
Right, exactly. That's
but we like this. I mean, I have to say it, and I hope you feel the same way. I still think it's worth it, And if anyone has a job that they love going to every day, I'm so happy. Like, I don't
so
want, like, I feel like sometimes I paint this picture of, like, American society of just, like, if you have a job, you're a slave, and it's like a horrible life, and, you're crushing your soul.
Right, which is
I hope that, I don't want that to be true. Like, I want there to be jobs in this country that people are excited to go to, employers are treating them right, they get good benefits, and they're paid well, and, people wake up and they're excited to challenge. I just hope that that's happening. I guess this podcast is more for the people where that's not happening, and that this is another option to run your own business selling trash, basically. I mean,
literally, that's what's
thing.
happening. But I mean, we have to think about. We always say this: do the rewards, whatever that can mean to anybody, outweigh the challenges and the stress and the,
Well, I do want to say, when it's bad, it feels really bad.
Yeah.
But when it's good...
It's amazing.
It feels really good.
Yeah.
Like, we had a couple of days this week where, like, things are selling on eBay, and then, like, our rentals, people are renting during the winter time, which is a big deal for us.
That's huge.
Any time we can rent our vacation places in the
middle of the winter
around here, because it's not a snow area, it's like a really big deal. It's like, it almost feels like extra free cash.
But the preceding days before that, for me, was like it was one of those weeks where you're just like, I literally feel like I need to look for a job on the internet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, wow, it was like I was pretty low.
I mean, and that's why we always talk about knowing our numbers, because really, for me, as long as we're hitting our minimum goal to pay the bills, I always feel okay. Yeah, and we've never not done that.
Right, of course.
Okay, that's not the topic. That was going to be the topic. Like that. That might have been a really good podcast. So
that's a different podcast.
Someone on the forum posted about if there's any software that makes it easy to cross-post to different sites.
Right.
eBay, Mercari, Poshmark, Etsy, whatever else
it's like,
comes along.
What do we call it? It's like when you have like an multi-channel explosion or whatever, and you like go everywhere.
And, this isn't the first time we've talked about it, and people talk about, they're like, I put all my clothes on eBay, and then I put, all the good stuff on Poshmark, and I'm always bored. I'm like, why do I want to do that? But people really get into it, and there are these services that are popping up now, and they're, of course, subscription services where they help you manage that stuff. People are really putting time into listing one item on like 5 different sites. So like a piece of clothing on 5 different sites.
Right, and I understand why.
And I'm wondering, have we hit that point where this is the new thing that sellers have to start doing to stay successful? Kind of like when we started selling together in 2008.
Yeah.
I feel like one reason why we had this podcast and why people still hear us is because, we kind of helped verbalize this idea on eBay. No longer can you just do 25 auctions a week and do good. It's about buy it now, bulk up your inventory, keep stuff up there for long periods of time, don't end stuff after 30 days, and that was like, and I remember those people the old people that sold on eBay wouldn't get really upset.
They would think we were crazy.
Like, why do we need to do this? And like eBay, it used to be so good and now it's ruined. And we didn't ruin it. We just helped verbalize what the new reality was.
Well, or what was working.
So what if this is a new reality, and are we ready for it?
Look, so here's the problem I see. Now, I didn't see anyone have an answer, but correct me. I would love to cross-post to Etsy. I have a lot of stuff that could go on Etsy. I have a lot of stuff that can go on Poshmark. Cross-posting one by one, even on Etsy, they only want square photos. I'm like, oh God.
So like, there's this one service. I'm not going to talk about them because I don't know if they're any good or not.
Yeah.
But like, where I guess what happens is like, it's a website, I think, and you log into all your things. Yeah. And then it gives you like a window and tabs, and you click through the tabs, and so you're still having to list on each one, but the idea is, I guess, is that you have your bundle of info, and then you're just putting it on each tab in the format that the company wants.
Right, because every format's different.
I do want to be clear, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, because every site requires different information in different format, there's no software where you just click
not yet.
A button and it goes everywhere.
Like the way I picture it, a software existing, like the way I picture the interface would be like you have a check marks. I want this on eBay, Poshmark, and Etsy, whatever it is, some vintage pair of boots or whatever. And then each one is going to show you, these are what your photos look like on eBay. These are, okay, now reformat that for Etsy because it's all square photos. Reformat for Poshmark. Like all of them. Okay, this is the title. Well, Etsy only lets you have this much. And eBay, blah, 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 blah.
That's why I'm saying that it's not automating it. It's just instead of you having to log into different windows and go through the pages on the different sites, it's like bringing it all together. So you're still having to customize the information for each site. But then I'm thinking like, can you imagine just doing that for like a $20 pair of shoes?
But the other thing too is you need the ability to keep track of when something sells on eBay. Maybe you didn't list it on all the sites. How do you know? You have to search it every time?
Well, and I guess that's where people are coming up with like, they're like on every item, I've got like a little code where it's like
on Etsy, on Poshmark,
E for eBay, P for Poshmark, and ET for Etsy, and so I go and look, but then some people say there are. I'm not sure, but I'm hoping these software also will have some kind of inventory system,
right.
Information,
a SKU number, a way to be like, ding, 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 this sold on Poshmark, end it everywhere else. Or give you an alert, go end these.
But, we've had that issue when we were posting on, what was it, Bamboozle?
It would definitely not be called that. It's called Bonanza.
Bonanza, where and on eBay, and people would buy
Both
the
of them.
item at the same time because they're like, I want this item both times.
I want 2 of them.
Thank God Bonanza isn't very strict, so you can cancel it.
That.
But what happens if you have it, eBay on Etsy, and someone buys both of them, and then those are sites that really
are not happy.
strict if you cancel.
There's so much to it.
I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I just realized that maybe this is a new reality, and I don't know. Are we? If it is, are we ready to jump into that, or are we going to be like the old guys who were only doing auctions and just would not jump into the new way of selling on eBay?
I think the issue for me is like, I listed a bunch of stuff on Poshmark. I listed like some of my nicest clothes, like as much as I could stand. And nothing happened because...
I think we sold one item.
Yeah, we did. We sold one item, which wasn't bad. But like, you have to... It's just like Instagram. It's just like Facebook. If you're promoting your business, whatever there. You cannot just be like, automated. Like... You have to like things. You have to thumbs up it. Right. You have to put a heart on it. You have to comment. You have to follow. And you're just like, dude, I don't have time. Yeah. I need to list.
You got to wrap in tissue paper. And
God.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So good again, question.
I don't know the answer.
Good question.
But my feeling is it's not an automated process, and I would love to hear from the people that are already manually posting to Poshmark, Mercari, eBay, Etsy, all of it together. And here, like, how much time are you having to spend on all these sites? And then it starts becoming about customer service. You know, one item on 4 or 5 sites.
You're answering questions.
And
look, on Etsy, people just have like a little convo with you, and they never buy anything.
It starts feeling like, because the whole point of this world for us was we could put stuff up on eBay. It's in our inventory, and then we can just get on it with our life, and we can be at Walmart and. Someone asks a question on eBay, I answer it on my phone, I'm done, it sells, you ship it the next day. But if you have all of these sites and you're really having to engage, that becomes a full-time job, and it makes me think of like some futuristic world where you're in like a levitating chair with little blasters. You're like having to cruise around, and you have like a computer in front of you all the time, and you're just always hooked in, like having to engage in that world all the time. I
mean, I am sticking to our philosophy of you're going to make money where you put the time in.
Right.
We put our time into eBay. We don't do Amazon anymore. I don't put anything on Etsy, although I think I maybe should. And that's it.
Right.
And so are we missing out on sales? A lot of people would say yes. But if I'm putting all my time into making sure stuff is good on eBay, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like, that's my answer for now. Yeah. I would like to cross-post some more stuff on Etsy, some more vintagey stuff.
Well, and now that we have helpers, maybe we get a helper to help us do that.
Yeah.
Because helpers are there to help.
Helpers are helpers.
I would just, again, like to hear what people say, people who have been doing it for for a decent amount of time, and just hear, what is your time like spent if you're listing on 4 sites?
Yeah.
Like, don't give me 2 sites. That's not a big deal.
I want 4.
I want 4.
Mercari, Poshmark, Etsy.
Etsy. Right. Okay, let's talk about our eBay store. So we had talked about, we had a neutral feedback that someone gave us, and you know what? It was automatically taken away.
So I was about to call, like the next morning, and Jay looked at the feedback, and he goes, "It's gone."
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't even do anything.
And I'm assuming people talked about this because we do free returns. Yeah. I guess there's some kind of reputation management that eBay will do. But we still, I think we have like a neutral and like 1 negative over the past 12 months, and those are still there. I don't know.
Right.
Is someone actually reading that stuff and determining whether or not if it passes a muster?
Right. So you're like, is it artificial intelligence that's going through and being like, eliminate neutral feedback?
Or is it some dude in the Philippines like...
and who just said... What's interesting, too, about what happened was it's who decided, number one, and number two... It would have been interesting for them to tell me.
Right.
Like, hey, just letting you know.
Yeah, no,
But they didn't. It was just gone.
Yeah, no, they miss an opportunity to
be like, thumbs up for us.
Because that's great. I mean,
They helped us out.
Free returns isn't so bad. Hey, that's
right.
The other thing I had questions with our store. So it's noticing on our like sold page the sold like this past week.
Yeah. Internally or externally? Like, are you seeing it as us?
Like,
okay.
Like our store.
Gotcha.
So, how much do we make? I'm noticing the amount of taxes people are now paying. We're like, we sell something for $19.99 and they're paying like $1.44 in taxes. And, it's for like a majority of our items.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering two things. Number one, how does eBay deal with those taxes? Because we see those tax amounts in PayPal, our PayPal account. Yep. And I know people were complaining about this, and I guess I'm still bringing it up. I guess we are paying a PayPal fee on that tax. Yep. And then eBay pulls it out of our PayPal account, right?
That's exactly what's happening. And... a bunch of people are talking about it on Reddit, on the eBay subreddit, and there were arguments for both sides. Some people were pissed about it because you're like, why am I paying a fee on taxes? Number one, on taxes. Right. And number two, on taxes, I don't have to remit. Like, that's for eBay to do. And then some people were like, every payment processor that any retail establishment goes through has to pay fees on the total amount. Any grocery store who's accepting a debit card and didn't, accept cash,
they pay fees on all that stuff, and then they pay.
They're
taxes.
not like, oh, not the taxes. Right. Like MasterCard is not like, oh, not the taxes.
Well, and then I fall into the category of, I really do give eBay a thumbs up for making this process pretty painless. I mean, it's basically absolutely painless. We were all worried about this like internet income tax.
Was it called Nexus or whatever?
Yeah, and we were all worried about like, are we going to have to be like, taking taxes and send them to all these counties? eBay has taken care of all that stuff, and I'm sure they've incurred a large cost to do that. So if this is the least we have to do, that's great. I mean, eBay could have been charging us $30 a month or something for like TextJar or whatever it is.
Yeah. So in a way it's good, but in another way you are kind of like, you wish that was taken out before we ever saw it. Why should I even see that anywhere? It should just, but however, I'm hoping, and maybe someone who's on managed payments, eBay managed payments, can say differently, that eBay's not going to be like, we're charging you a fee for the tax that we're collecting.
That is a good question.
PayPal's separate.
Those of you in managed payments, is that managed payment, I think it's called like Kimbo or something like that.
Oh, I forget what it's called.
Aduro. Is it taking out a fee from the taxes before eBay takes the taxes?
Yeah, so I don't know the answer. It would be interesting to look. Airbnb did something similar this year, in the middle of the year, when all those laws passed, where they were like, okay, we're taking care of your state tax now.
Yeah.
And we don't see it. But I wonder if the fees they take out, if it's the same. Right. If they're like, what bottom line total is what the fees get taken out.
Now, my other question is, though, I mean, and I have not seen one article about this online. Now that states and I guess counties and towns, I don't know, like we sold an item on eBay for $140 to someone in California.
Yes.
eBay collected $14 in tax. Right. Who is getting that? Is it only California? Is it the counties? Is it the town? And then are these, is the state and the towns, are they like now getting a deluge of
money.
And then what are they doing with that money? Like it seems like that would be a lot of money, you know?
So in terms of county, yeah, I guess it depends on what county you're in, because there is sales and use tax for counties.
And
yeah.
A city, so
Right.
if you live in,
Well, a lot of
California.
so a lot of times what happens is it just goes to the state, and the state disperses like a percentage.
So
but
I don't want to get hung up on who's getting it, but I'm just wondering if there's a deluge of cash to
those,
governments,
Yeah.
and is it helping the budget? Because that's a lot of money.
It's gonna, because
which I guess is the point.
Yeah, which is the point, and I honestly think it's okay. If you're physically in California visiting, like, we don't live there, and you pay sales tax, you're not going to be like, I shouldn't have to pay this.
Right.
I mean, so, I don't think it's a bad thing.
But like even our little small county, people buy things online all the time. I wonder if
Is our county
is our town or county getting some cut of that?
Like, is eBay sending our state money, which they
Right.
should be, and then, like, how are they seeing it? I would be interested to see if they just get a lump sum from the state, like, here's your sales and use tax
Right.
cut, and you're like, did it just, since June, go like, boom?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyone work in the state? I want to, state governments.
Right. Hey, shh. Okay. One of our helpers.
Yes.
We were just talking about this a week ago. I was like, oh, I'm really glad our helper doesn't just kind of comes in, enjoys her job, and then just goes home. She came and told us she started in an Etsy store.
Yes.
And you actually found it.
I found it because you can search by zip code.
And she's selling like little collectible, like it's ceramic dishes.
Yeah, like vintagey stuff,
like,
for sure.
Yeah,
like
very Etsy kind of stuff.
It's very Etsy, but it's definitely stuff that we sell.
Yep.
Like, I looked at it and I was like...
And she has like 50 things up.
She has 50 things up.
And she sold like 10 things.
She sold 10 things so far, which I'm like, oh my God.
And she talked about, like having to figure out shipping, and she like did free shipping, and ended up not making money.
Yeah, because a glass vase went to Alaska.
Right.
I'm like, welcome to my world.
Right.
Welcome to the rest of my world.
So I remember, and you were kind of excited. You're like, oh, that's so cool. I was like, what? This is my nightmare.
Look, okay, I feel a couple of things. Number one,
tell me your feelings.
it would be crazy for someone like her or any helper we have who knows our business as intimately as they know it to not start their own store as a supplement.
Right.
If they didn't do that eventually, I would just be like...
It shows some get up and go.
Yeah, so that's, to me, I'm like, good for you. Right. What's crazy to me is that it took her over 2 years to do it. So you're like, that's crazy, but good for you.
Right.
The second feeling I have is, yes, I was scared. I was like, she's shopping in the same places as me.
Right.
Clearly, we live in a very small area. And she's finding really good stuff.
Yep.
Stuff that I'm like, but I cannot complain because I am not sourcing. Right. So I better shut up and get out there.
Yep. It's a hard work.
So that's what I'm like, so shut up. List some stuff.
I mean, and the other thing, too, and this, I guess, is a big experiment. It'll be interesting to see. There's always a difference between you put up 50 items and they're on one shelf in your closet versus you starting a store and you have 500 items and you're having to build an inventory system and you're selling stuff every day and you're having to build shipping into your world and you have to keep a closet of boxes and packing material. And,
answer people's questions. Stuff breaks. What do you do?
You have to figure out, are you taking all your packages to the post office every day? Can you set up a pickup? Do you print labels on your computer?
So the difference between someone like her who's starting out, which, like I said, I was so happy to see it. I was like, you absolutely should do this. If you don't do it, you're crazy. But the difference between someone like that, like you said, and someone like us is the sustainability.
Yeah.
How do you keep going?
Yeah.
Because I've had other friends who live right down the street from us, shop in the same places, put 10 things up and be like, oh, I'm going to make a business. And you're like, cool. Yeah. That did not happen. Like, it's like, no.
Yeah, and then because you don't hear about it anymore.
Yeah, because you're like, it takes like stamina. Like, you got to be like, I am doing this every day. I am answering every message. I am shipping every morning. Right. I am getting 500 items up in a month.
Right.
That's really hard to do, you know?
And the other good thing I see about it is that she's only on Etsy because she's younger. She's 30.
Yeah, she's 30, so she's like hip.
Into that. Like
vintage.
Etsy's like her bag. And maybe that's what we do, is that we have her start to put our stuff on Etsy
right,
too.
She knows Etsy well
she knows that world with all the passwords, keywords, you know, all that stuff. So
yeah. And I said, I was talking to her about Etsy, and I was like, I wish that I could list on Etsy, but they only want square photos. She's like, it's such a pain, but I figured it out with the app and stuff. So,
cool. So there you go.
Yeah. So
there you go.
It's just interesting that our nightmare kind of came true. Like, what if our helper? But it's on such a small level that you're like, you know, that's pretty minimal. Yep. But I also want someone like her to see the other side of the business and know that there's so much more to it. Yeah. You know, like, there's so much to it.
I mean, I think that's, again, the good thing is she's doing basically homework at home. Right. So when she comes and helps us, she knows. If she continues, she's just better and better at it, you know? Okay. The other thing before we get to our numbers, I had a couple emails from people who said that our website, scavengerlife.com, was getting flagged as like a spam
like a suspicious site.
And it's by that, it is McAfee virus software.
Yeah.
I think it was just specifically anyone that has that. And one of the scavengers actually called them and was like, why is this happening? And they're just like, well, it's a private website that... you know, has their own ads, because I guess we have like a Ting affiliate link on the sidebar, and you know, so they can't guarantee whatever. So I just tell people, we're not a spam site, so just click on through. You know?
Yeah, I've had that happen on Firefox on just regular sites. It'll be like, this looks like a weird site, and you're like, it's a blog. Like, I don't know what it's. You know,
I feel like if you don't. Just do ads by like Google ads or something, then like, they think you're scary.
So we're okay. Yeah. We're pretty sure.
Okay, let's do our numbers. We sold 45 items.
Yeah, it felt like that.
Pretty good for about $1,600. So we're kind of like we're kind of hovering about the same amount. Our average price sold was about $35, so not too bad. I mean, the good thing is those items that we sold cost about $87. So that's the big thing for us.
Surprised it was that much.
Is that, again, this is stuff that we're not paying a lot of money for. So that's the good thing for our equation. Things we sold a lot of stuff. We sold a lot of primitives this week.
Yeah, what was up with that?
It's this word that it didn't really exist that I know of when we started buying this stuff. Like old pots and pans. And like,
I mean, it existed, but
wooden things. I guess it's now a whole thing. Yeah, primitives. And like, what's the deal with that?
What's the deal with primitives?
Like, are people just buying this stuff and like hanging it on their wall?
Yes,
like old pots and pans.
Yes.
Okay. Well, cool.
The end.
Keep buying it.
Yeah, for lots of money. Right. Actually,
but at the same time, I do think though that. When we're going in our inventory, because we're still doing our inventory, we're like touching every single item we have, and I'm like, oh my
deciding
God, we have this. Like I didn't, or I remember buying this. I gotta say, the market is really efficient because I'm looking at things where I'm like, I remember when this thing was really hot,
right?
You know, like really popular, and we just couldn't buy enough of these things, and they would always sell. And now we just have like a box of them that no one's buying. Things like vintage rugs.
Oh my God.
I remember we had a podcast once 4 or 5 years ago where we were like, we found this old ratty old wool rug with like holes in it, and someone bought it for like, $100. And nowadays we cannot sell a wool rug
different
because the market has caught up, not only with Scavengers buying them, but also you go to Lowe's now and you can buy like a fake
distressed
rug where it looks like it's...
You're like, why would I spend X amount of dollars on a real one when I can spend
And
less?
primitives is another one of those categories where you could just buy an old copper, frying pan and sell it really quick, and now they don't sell it all because now there are like whole stores. You go to Michael's and there's like fake primitive stuff, that's just made in China.
Right. Although I will say for both of those categories, if you do find something that's beautiful and special, like the two primitive like pots that we sold this week, one sold for 100 and one sold for 96 or something. Yeah. And you're like, somebody recognized like this is a beautiful piece and I want to put it on my wall or whatever they want to do.
For real. Like it was a real,
those were real,
whatever, 1800s.
Right.
And not
so someone's willing to. One of them was in New York City. And the funny thing was the place where we stay in New York, it was the building right next to that. It was so weird. I'm like, we probably walked by that guy.
Right. But that stuff doesn't sell very fast like it.
No, it's a long tail.
Also, I mean, we never got into selling like cell phones or video games, but I know that there are scavengers out there where like they focus on video games. And for a while there, it was like a big thing. People would buy old cell phones, like iPhones, on Craigslist.
Right, for
and
cheap.
Flip them for a lot of money. Or they were buying people's old video games in boxes and then reselling them. And I feel like that's probably been oversaturated too because the market is efficient, People realize that you can make a lot of money on that. And we started off the podcast talking about that. You cannot rely on any one thing for a long period of time. Yep. You cannot be still,
Yeah.
And I just think that's something we struggle with all the time is that we're always trying to like make sure we're having enough different things in our inventory where we're never relying on any one thing.
Yeah. And it's weird because it'll go in waves. Like there'll be something that you're like, oh, it died down for a little bit. And now I'm selling one of these every week, a couple every week of X, whatever item it is. And you're like, I don't know. Maybe there was an article in a DIY, whatever blog and it came back.
Yeah. It's on a Martha Stewart or something.
Yeah.
Okay, customer issues. I think I'm going to talk about that chair.
You think you're going
So what is it? 2 weeks ago, we sold a $650
chair,
vintage antique chair to someone in Massachusetts, and we even arranged like a U-ship, and it got and the guy picked it up, and it seemed fine, and we get a message
yesterday,
a week and a half later or something. Where the guy's like,
where's the chair?
Where's my chair? And we're like, oh, he said he delivered it. And the guy's like, I didn't get it. So you actually called the shipper, and it's just a guy.
It's just some guy.
And he was like, oh yeah, I dropped it off at the wrong place.
So here's the deal. Today's Sunday.
Right.
It was supposed to be delivered Tuesday, so this is just a few days ago.
Right.
And he marked it as delivered. Delivered. I released the payment. That's how it works. I was like, okay, great. Right. This guy messages me last night. When's the chair arriving?
Right.
I'm like, I told you, Tuesday.
Right.
And so I called the shipper this morning, first thing, 9 a.m. And like you said, he admitted, oh, I think I delivered it. It was someone else delivering it. It wasn't him. It was his worker. I think he delivered it to the wrong address, which is crazy because you're like, you didn't let me know? You're going to let me know?
Yeah.
So he said, I will make sure he gets it today.
Right. So we learned a lesson. We learned a valuable that, we shouldn't release a payment till we get and that was... It's my fault.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's fine. It's just no big deal. But we should confirm with the buyer that they got it. So I think we're going to be okay.
I think we were nervous because, I don't know, U-ship is a weird beast. There's no real tracking other than them saying it's delivered. So I was kind of like trusting that. And yeah, you should just be like, no, I got to talk to my customer and make sure they got it because I'm not going to pay these people until it's delivered. Lesson learned. But, I talked to the guy this morning and it should be fine.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'm just glad that he was honest enough. It stinks that he dropped it off at the wrong house, but at the same time, I give him a lot of credit for it's fessing up to it
right away.
And he's going to fix it, and so that's great for me.
Yeah.
So,
lesson learned.
Okay, so a couple more things we learned in the forum. Somebody said, and I don't know if this is true, FedEx will now charge a $24 surcharge on packages between 50 and 70 pounds. Whereas before, the item had to be over 70 pounds before
70 was the limit.
Before the $24 kicked in. So I haven't confirmed that, but do we send things that heavy on FedEx? No. Okay.
But for people who do,
right.
I wonder if FedEx is just like, this is heavy. It's too expensive to
we have to put it on our planes and fuel.
It's got to be on a pallet, blah, blah, blah.
And then the other thing is, eBay, it's that beginning of the quarter.
Yes.
If you have a store subscription,
you
get eBay coupons for eBay shipping supplies.
For free.
And you can buy that stuff. And this has always been true, but someone was surprised by it. Yes. They were like, you have to spend the entire credit all at once. If you split the order, you will forfeit the balance.
Nope.
So if you have a $50 credit, you have to buy $50 all at once.
Right.
If you only buy $20, you lose the entire thing.
I think eBay depends on that.
Right. And so people were saying, and we do this too, I think, that if we have a $50 credit, we'll spend over $50, like it's $52.
Yeah.
So that way we get the full amount.
Yeah. That's what I do.
Good to go.
Not too much over. I'm not like, I'll spend like $30 extra. Yeah. It's just like, I use up to, because I use that stuff every single day. So it's worth it to me to pay a little bit extra.
Yeah. It's cool. Okay, let's go to the comments or questions that people emailed in or called in.
You can email an audio file. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com, or you can call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, Marty in Santa Barbara, California. Old Man Marty, as I'm known on the forums when I'm there. Anyway, I wanted to tell you about a sale I had that could have gone poorly, but didn't thanks to you two. So I've been listening to you guys for about 2.5, 3 years now, and I would have handled this differently back then. The message that the buyer sent me, it was a Dell computer. I sold it for $225 plus shipping. It finally arrived today and works all right, but the screen is not stable and it flaps all by itself. Its shakiness makes me wonder if it will soon break off from the keyboard. What happened to it? Well, I shipped it very well, so I knew that this was not a valid statement on his part. If it was, then something went wrong with the shipping, and we would just need to do what we need to do. And then if I had to deal with insurance, I guess, with the post office, I would, which I did take out extra insurance on this, by the way. It was really cheap. So the message I sent them was, thanks for your message. I experienced no shakiness or instability with the laptop. I mentioned all noticeable defects in the listing. If you are not satisfied, please return it as soon as possible for a refund. All you have to do is pay it to ship it back safely to me within 30 days. Let me know what you would like to do. Thank you, Marty. I think I'm safe now because he has not responded in any way, shape, or form to that message, which leads me to believe that he was just trying to get me to give him a sizable refund, a portion of the money back, stating that he would have it fixed or whatever. I didn't know where it was going to go from there. But my message, which was crafted carefully based on what you have said on the podcast before, helped me. And also, because I first received the message on a break at work while I was checking my phone, I did not respond by phone, which is another tip I'll give anyone. If you need to send a detailed message by phone, then do it, but be very careful because you don't want to send something incorrect with typos or any kind of statement that you would edit down that might have a little bit of sarcasm or anger or anything like that. the key that I've gotten from you guys is to stay neutral in these situations, no emotion, tell them simply what needs to be done, and then leave it alone. He hasn't responded back. That's the whole plan. It worked, I think. We have 7 days left. Just wanted to thank you for that. I actually went back and messaged him from my home computer after work at night to make sure I had everything. It's easier to write in a text file and then copy and paste it into eBay messages than to do it on my phone. So that's what I did. But anyway, wanted to thank you for all you've done and wish you a happy new year, and I'll see you in 2020.
I will echo what you're saying, Marty.
Old man Marty.
Old man Marty. It is super important. I've learned this so many times where you're not just like shooting off a message on your phone in the middle of doing something else because you're like, wait, what? First of all, I read messages and emails incorrectly all the time.
Right? We'll get like really mad. Like this person said this and like and I got the same email. I'm like,
that's not what they said.
The email doesn't say what you think it says. She's actually being very nice and just asking a question. You're like, this part. So
I think it's important to, like you said, take a minute when you have like a break or you're on your computer or you're done for the day and you're like today with that whole chair thing, I was like, I'm not going to look at this.
Right.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to literally eat breakfast before I look at it.
Yeah, because you don't, that's the other thing. There is really that has to be answered immediately. I mean, we never wait 3 days.
Right.
But like that chair thing, the guy, a message is kind of late, is last night, like 8 o'clock.
or something.
I did send a message back just to show the confirmation that it got dropped off, and then he wrote again, and we just were like, let's just answer it in the morning,
And I wanted to make sure that you and I talked about it first, and we called the dude, and then we
because that is the worst thing to do, especially if an item is having a problem, a sale's having a problem. You don't want to start sending contradictory, confusing emails. You don't want the buyer to think you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
You want to send concise, simple answers. Yeah. That always, in my opinion, gives the buyer a choice.
Yep. Options.
Here's a deal. Here are the two choices. There's no other choices. This is it. Yeah. And if you want to send me a wall of text that's about emotion and problems in your life, that doesn't matter. eBay will see I've given you choices and I've done my job.
eBay takes note of that. You gave them a choice.
Right. If eBay has to get involved. What is not good is to like do wall of text of emotion.
Yeah, sure. It's just not. It's not. And the other thing too is like you're saying someone bought a laptop, which is a high risk item, just like an iPhone or whatever. And they were like, the screen's messed up. And you're like, okay, well, I didn't have that experience and that's not how I sold it. So just ship it back.
Yep. That's always the thing, is to call their bluff.
Yep.
Like, ship it back. I'm willing to eat the cost of shipping just so you can't have that computer. And if you're willing to ship it back, then there must be something wrong. If you're not willing to ship it back, then there's obviously not something wrong. And you just eBay will back me up.
Yeah.
But I like that Marty did that, because that's exactly how the back and forth is. So anyone who is brand new to selling on eBay, that's a very typical back and forth on an item. I mean,
you are very... Look,
he handled it well.
There are often times where I'm like, just the chair thing. I was like, you have to write him because I need like the most neutral robot.
Right.
And sometimes I can be... Sometimes I am like that. You're like, good. If I take the time and I'm like, this is not going to ruin your life. Like, you can just write a 2-sentence email that like is concise and neutral and gives choices.
Yeah. Okay, that is it. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com and our forum, scavengerlife.com/forum.
Or forums.
That's where we hang out and talk. And so, I mean, if you got a question, that's the place to go to. I know some people email us, and that's fine. But ultimately, it's kind of like, If it's more than one question, just
forums.
Because honestly, there's a lot of people that actually know more than we do, especially about different kind of topics that people ask about. You can call and leave a question or comment on our voicemail line.
The phone number is 540-407-8486.
Okay. This episode will be up definitely on Monday, but often you could check it out Sunday night too,
if you're lucky.
And Wednesdays, Steve Schultz, he sent a video on New Year's Eve, right? Or New Year's Day a week ago.
It was one of those. He's a dedicated human being.
He makes a video every Wednesday that we post that shows what he sold.
Yep.
And how much he sold it for.
Yep.
Great information.
Good information to have.
We are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Sell trash.
Be free.
Be free-ish.
Yes.